and welcome to another replay cast. And today I have a special one. I have a carrier replay, and since you all know I'm really not familiar with, or not really good at carrier playing, I got some help with the player himself that is going to be featured in this replay. So I'm here with Admiral Qwert, one of our most competitive CV players in our clan, and hello.
Hello, everyone. Yeah.
All right, yeah. First of all, maybe a lot of people ask themselves, why are you scroll zooming when you're not playing CV?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought you might feel more comfortable with it, but okay, yeah. Since, as I said, I'm not the one who is really experienced in this whole let's call it high tier CV gameplay. You're the one that is like commentating on this and explaining what's going to happen. I'm just asking random noob questions because if I don't realize what's going on, then it's probably just because of that. All right,
Okay.
up to you. What are you going to do? Okay, you launch your torpedo planes first. That's what I would do as well.
Yeah. So basically, because there's 3 DDs on each side, I thought, oh, I'm going to have to try and strike a DD as soon as possible to try and give our team an advantage. So I stacked the first 2 planes because that's enough to cross-drop a DD. And by the time I've cross-dropped those with those 2, the 3rd bomber will have catched up. So there's no need to stack all 3 bombers together. So I'm just going in trying to scout, but then I realize my planes are taking damage, so I immediately pull back, but I unfortunately lose a plane. Luckily, both DDs get spotted, but that might have been from the Chapai radar, or it might be my planes. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, from here, I keep pulling them back because the enemy Midway is bringing his fighters over. So yeah, as you see, he's trying to strafe me, so I back strafe into him with that fighter. I clip some planes.
Oh, let me quick. I just forgot to select the squads. Give me a sec.
Don't worry.
It's happening. So okay.
Yeah, so here I stacked all my bombers together. I moved them away, ready to escape them if he tries to backstrafe. But then here I see he's bringing another squad, so I immediately tried to escape with one squad, but the other squad was locked in for too long. So that got clipped. But because now I managed to strafe him again with the full squad, and with the help of the chap I have a Minotaur AA, I won that first fight with only losing 3 planes to his 14, basically. So here's the DD capping B. I admit that this bit wasn't the best decision, but here I just keep my bombers here so that I can spot the DD, and I decide I might go for the Bismarck, Friedrich, and Richelieu in the bottom right corner because they seem to be unescorted. So I send off my dive bombers and torpedo bombers off there. Here I wasn't really.
Yeah, you have now some breathing time because the enemy CV needs like 50 seconds until he has his fighter squads up again, right?
Yeah, so I can just stay here, even though my bombers are probably spotted because the Donskoy, just that ramming into the island. I just stay here, ready for the Z-52 to come out, and here he is. So as my bombers are traveling over, I can concentrate on multitasking. So here I tried to drop the Z-52. So I immediately tried to lock him in with one squad. Then I tried to drop the cross drop with the second one.
By the way, but the DD, the Z-52 is doing exactly the right thing. He's slowing down, so he does not eat too many and gets like narrowed by these torps from behind.
Yeah.
So that was totally the right play. Normally you can't avoid it, or at least to eat one. But yeah, in this case, he was able to dodge at least most of them.
Yeah, so here I send one dive bomber in to get a double fire on the Bismarck. But unfortunately, I didn't reroute my planes, so those planes are going to die to like all of the BBAA. And I was just waiting for this Bismarck with double fires to use his damage control. But so I keep my planes waiting around and decide he's not using his damage control, otherwise he would have done so already. So I decide I'm going to go for the Richelieu as well. But then I see the fighters are coming. So I decide I'll use this bomber squadron to bait the enemy CV. So it sees that, yeah, he's chasing, so I immediately drop them to make them go faster, but they get caught. So I just keep moving them as far away as possible, but then he seems to strafe again, and misses, so that was good for me. His fighters are now so far away, I can drop these battleships freely. And I thought, this Bismarck's still burning, but I don't know what he's doing, so he might have just repaired there, because I don't think the fire had completely lasted. So I decided I'm going to go use this dive bomber and get rid of this catapult, so moving it out, and I do a long drop with the torpedo bomber onto the Bismarck. It seems that enemy fighter strafed that catapult fighter, meaning this dive bomber is free. So I drop the Bismarck again, get one fire, and there's one flood on him as well. And it seems that he used his repair earlier. That means he's pretty much dead, guaranteed dead. Now he's this same Z-52. This drop wasn't great either. He always seems to be like really experienced in dodging the CV. So there's one drop.
But questionable decision by him to go in this cap when all of the and that's I mean, I was surprised, or not surprised, but impressed that he dodged or didn't know how to dodge cross torps. But this decision was absolutely questionable, I would say.
Yeah, questionable. But unfortunately, I missed the first drop. But fortunately, he just does a weird potato decision. As A2 said, I managed to kill him off.
And
so
if we watch the upper right corner, there was until recently there was some ticking. So you have a lot of dot damage ticking over time. Most of the time, that's when I watched it first time.
Yeah. So far, because of all of the dot ticking damage, I've done about 10,000 damage per minute, just over, because I was at 8. And here you can see I've strafed him again. So he tried to strafe, and because he's locked into a path, I can predict where he's going to move for the next 2-3 seconds, and I strafe into that area where he's going to move into. Unfortunately, you can't see the hitboxes, but
somehow Wargaming did something again to the replays.
And if you take note of my position in my carrier, I've positioned myself behind the island at C5 because it's central and is as close as I can get safely to the battlefield. So I'm keeping this Yugumo spotted pretty much. I'm going to try and kill it off. However, when I drop here, the Yugumo beaches, so I was like, oh no, I'm going to miss this. So I scroll in, it's like, oh, just a tip, and get the flooding, and then he's dead. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, that sounded... but also, again, the questionable play by the enemy DD. Why even trying to charge through there? I mean, why not staying with the fleet and play a bit more patient? But yeah, I guess that's random stuff. Here you wait until... Or are you checking what he's doing with this fight?
Yeah, I was checking what he's doing, and I was using the fighter with more ammo to strafe, because if I strafe with the second squad, the number 3 squadron, then that would have been almost out of ammo, and I couldn't use 10 fighters to clip him, to like tag him. Otherwise, I'd only have to use 5, and I'd probably lose more planes doing that. So after this, I decide I'm going to have to reload my fighters. They're close to my CV. They're pretty low on ammo. All of my strike aircraft are up, and I know his fighters are dead. So I know that I don't need to worry about enemy fighters. However, our battleships at sea, they seem to be going around the long way. And they got struck by the enemy CV, so that was a bit unfortunate. And at this point in the game, I'm the only one on my team to get any kills. All 3 of them.
Oh, that's... well, okay. Yeah, you can't say you particularly finished off the ships. They were like quite healthy out of them.
Yeah. But here I decide.
What I asked myself is why are you going for these guys there at sea that are anyways pressured away from your fleet, and not going straight for the guys at A that are pressuring, like for example, could be a really big issue for the as a flanking group. I mean, we have now Cyclone hitting. Okay, makes it a bit more easier to not fight all of them.
Yeah, so it was mainly due because of the Kurfürst Missouri and Zal. They like never split apart. So all of that AA was really, really strong, and I highly doubted that I would be able to do anything meaningful. Oh. And here I accidentally let my planes get strafed, so I couldn't get the Fletcher, but that was enough to force him out of the smoke, and that meant that all of my battleships here could finish him off. So here I decide I'm going for this Richelieu.
Yeah, it seems as if the Donskoy slept and didn't activate AA there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
And then
sometimes hard. When our planes spotted in cyclones, it's just like you see it always too late. Even in a cruiser, if you activate AA, it's almost too late. They are already in like 4 kilometer range or something. It can be really
I think
nasty.
it's 3 kilometers, yeah.
3 kilometers, yeah, it's absolutely nasty.
And then there's where I get Witherer, partly because of all of the fire damage on the battleships that never really repaired.
Yeah, you had barely any flooding, I think, except for this Yugubo, maybe this 300 HP or so.
Yeah. So now I decide it's time to start moving away from A because of that flanking group you said earlier, and then now I concentrate on killing this flanking group. I thought the Shimakaze would be able to do slightly more, but I guess the Kurfürst had his Hydra activated a lot, and not much could be done.
By the way, in general, how do you rate a Midway compared to Hakuryu? Because it's rather rare that people are playing Hakuryu right now. I mean, it was a stronger carrier before they buffed the Midway. What do you think now? Still playable, or what happens if you're facing someone who has the same skill level like you do?
Well, Midway is definitely stronger right now because, in terms of air control, because of the double 14 wave fighter, and you've got 3.5 reserves because you get a wave of 14, wave of 14, wave of 14, and then another half a wave, whilst the Hakuryu only gets 2.5 waves of 10, 10, and then 5. So with the Hakuryu, you need to be really, really on top of your game in terms of your fighter play, otherwise you won't be able to do it easily, and you lose on the air battle, and then as a result striking. However, I still think that the Hakuryu is better at damage over time because you have so many squadrons. You can say, oh, this guy's flooding or this guy's on fire, and then you save the squad later, and then you can get a flood or fire later. So just like here, I tried to bomb this out.
I think you should have like lived, or I would have not used my torpedo planes for the last strike on the Kurfürst. I would have used it on the Zao, to be honest, because that Kurfürst was dead. I think pretty dead actually. Or am I wrong?
I just wanted to guarantee the kill because if you got a broadside shot on the Friedrich, those 12 guns are going to hurt a lot, and I wanted them to stay alive. And now the Zao's focusing on the Friedrich, and the Chapayev is just, yeah. And however, here I moved my planes away. It's because the Zao used defensive fire, and I'm constantly checking with this number 9 dive bomber if the defensive fire is still up. Because in Cyclone, the defensive fire still affects your planes, even though it doesn't damage them if they're out of range, but inside that AA range, which is really weird.
Okay. So you can't spot the ship, but you see if it's in range, for example.
Yeah, so if I'm in his AA range and there's panic spread, then I know that he's used defensive fire.
Alright, so Zao is dead now as well. Now you go for protecting the B cap, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying my best to defend B. However, I get a nasty surprise as soon as I spot these ships here. Because instead of 2 that I was expecting, there was actually 3. And then those were the fighters, which I had to really back off because all of this close range AA completely shreds all the planes.
Yeah, your team is also doing a big mistake. They are not grouping up together. They are all like isolated more or less, and that's the Friedrich just crowned it next to that island.
Yeah.
Ahem.
Yeah. Here I also wait with my torpedo planes to see if the Missouri will damage control. And here I also make a mistake. I didn't actually manage to pay attention to these fighters here to allow myself to like strafe into those fighters and get the kill. Unfortunately now there's no way
but
of
enemy
me
CV didn't pay too much attention as well. That's what I found out. So I think you're pretty fine.
Here I decide I'm just gonna have to kill one of them. I go for the Missouri and he dies. But then my fighters run out of ammo, so that's a bit unfortunate for me. And I keep trying to defend B, so I decide I'm gonna hit the Friedrich, get a flood. I thought I might try to spot the New Orleans from the Shimakaze and Friedrich, but it was unlikely. So I decide like I should have waited for this Friedrich to use damage control, then send the torpedo bomber in. But then I realized his fighters are probably coming for this torpedo bomber. So I just move it away and then bring it back because I thought, yeah, there's his fighters. So then I decided, oh, I'm just going to keep searching for this New Orleans, even though it's in Cyclone, and you can only spot 3 kilometers away from the plane.
Ah, okay. Yeah, well, I would have concentrated like heavily on this 2 battleships in the middle. I think that's the best chance to get kills and points back and so on. But yeah.
Yeah, it's just I didn't have fighters, and he had 2 fighters here. So
yeah, that's the issue. That's definitely true. And
yeah,
wow,
now
3 ships now. Yeah, that's for all out there. If you are ending in the Cyclone, never split up. Be as many ships together as possible.
So what the enemy team is doing is the correct decision, bundling up in the center.
Exactly.
Whilst my team have all spread out, and it's really difficult to try and protect them. So
it's a whole different playstyle compared to like without Cyclone, because without Cyclone you want to be a bit spread out on the flanks or something, but as soon as you know that there is a Cyclone hitting, group up with as many ships as you can. Don't try to do your own thing. You will not survive it normally, because if you're unlucky, you hit like into 2-3 ships and you can't do much about it.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm already out of dive bombers because there's only 4 minutes left, and dive bombers are always going into the short range AA, meaning they lose a lot of. You lose them more often, and you probably run out of them more first. And there, I tried to drop fast because there's 3 ships there, and I didn't really want to. Unfortunately, the Shimikaze died, even though it was right next to the Midway. I was hoping he might be able to take the Midway down. And here, I was like, this is going to be a very hard battle, so I try everything I can. So here, I wait for the Friedrich to come out so I can smash it with torpedo bombers in order to try and save the Chapayev. But the Chapayev dies to the secondaries, so you're so low.
You're and also under fire now, yeah.
So I thought I may as well force the damage control because I have a dive bomber ready, and I'm sending fighters over to try and protect the Friedrich. This drop was a little bit rushed because I wanted to try and kill him as fast as possible. So unfortunately, I missed 2 of the torps, which didn't kill him, and I missed the strafe on this torpedo bombers as well, meaning the Friedrich's going to die to the Midway as well.
Well, honestly, you can't do everything. I mean, it looked a bit as if you did everything and your team did do nothing at all. It was just like, when I watched it the first time, I was like, okay, aren't they able to do anything at least? Or like taking out a ship or being somewhat useful, but they weren't at all. That was just sad to watch, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it's the week. It's basically the Easter holiday, so all of the potatoes are out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here I realised there's no way I'm going to win, so I may as well try my best to do what I can. So here with these 2 torpedo bombers, I hit the Friedrich, and he dies to fire, which is nice.
Yeah, it gives you more time.
Yeah. There's only 2 minutes left, and I've only got 10 torpedo bombers left. But I've got all of these fighters left because, as you can see, I've got so many plane kills as well. And I see I may as well charge in Stoev style and maybe faster reload times. And here I like strafe these planes. I move my torpedo bombers out of the strafe box. And I do the same for the dive bombers here. Also earlier, you saw, if you noticed, my defensive fire was on cooldown. It's because I accidentally hit it, so I double.
I thought it was on purpose to help maybe out the Chapayev, but because
no, I was out of range there. So yeah, here I decide to use it now because the the bombers had been getting closer. So I think, oh no, I thought I used it. But then here.
Yeah, well, there's actually no need, honestly. But I almost wrecked this Richelieu totally as well.
I just missed that the first drop, and then I tried to get this one. Here, I activated defensive fire to kill the last of these bombers, and then time runs out just as the torpedo hits it, so I didn't actually get the kill. But I as you saw, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, as I said, amazing game. 377k damage. I think I barely made it up to 300,000 in one of my ships, but never that much. You can't see this right now, I guess. So give me a sec. So now you should be able to see us.
Yeah.
So 37 torpedoes. It's just like amazing how many. 6 kills. It's some kind of superlative, at least for me, or for maybe players that aren't so used to it.
Yeah. So I did my best trying to drop the DDs at the start or keep them spotted, which meant most of them died before the halfway point. I think both teams, and then after that, all of the cruisers pretty much had defensive fire. So I decided to go for the battleships. That's why I've got so many top hits, because hitting a battleship is much easier than hitting a destroyer.
Yeah,
And
it also looked as if your team wasn't able to capitalize on that. You took out the DDs so early.
yeah,
Normally, that's like
unfortunately.
game for you, your team, when you take out the enemy DDs or most of them. But as I said, yeah, your team let you down a lot there. Yeah, 2.2 base XP in a loss. That's more than the enemy best ship of the enemy has. So yeah.
Also, if you note, the Friedrich got 28 plane kills, but I never actually really focused the Friedrich down, I don't think, because I never noticed that the Friedrich was the one killing my planes. I always thought it was the Missouri, but the Missouri only got one plane.
Oh, Friedrich AA is not to underestimate, actually. If you expect into manual, then it's pretty strong, actually.
Yeah. So when I think when I lost these planes, it was in B when I was striking the Missouri and the Richelieu and those ships. When he was coming out there, he just destroyed all the planes. And I think it was the same Friedrich that was there when I struck the Bismarck, and that's why all my planes were dying.
Yeah, nothing you can do, I would say, right? So
Yeah.
here, all over the detailed screen again. Yeah.
So as you saw, I kind of did strike a lot of battleships. But there were a lot of battleships that game and not many cruisers, I don't believe. And yes, 211,000 damage from torpedoes.
That's crazy much. I don't know. I have no words for this because I never reached such high damage numbers in my carriers. Even and I played against, let's say, below average player. No, never. Then the game were over so quickly that yeah, you couldn't do any of these damages. I don't know, or these damage numbers. But yeah, nevertheless, was exciting to see it from your perspective and by you explaining it, because maybe that helps out a lot of people. Even though we don't see the strafing zones and dropping zones, I think it was clear what you were doing there most of the time. At least I know at least some. Or I would say I learned a bit more about at least the fighter fights and how you proceeded. So normally you bait the other guy into strafing first and then you counter strafe, so it's to say, right?
It's basically patience is key.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, maybe I will try CV a bit on my own as well in the near future. Let's see. All right, yeah, that's it then from us, I would say. Yeah, thank you again, and yeah, for all that liked it, give it a like. For all the others, if you have questions, just write it in the comments, and yeah, otherwise have a good day and see you next time.
Bye.